problems locally, the problems, even personally within my own family, within my own circle, that those problems, that those conditions will not change until I start to change. Until I start to change myself. Remember earlier today I spoke about this idea of Adam alayhi salam taking responsibility, right? رَبَّنَا ظَلَمْنَا أَنفُسَنَا, that our Lord, we have wronged our own self. That's so important, because one of the biggest mistakes, and in fact a lot of times we become our own barrier to change. Like we are getting in our own way. And how do we do that? One of the ways that we do that is we focus on external and we forget internal. What I mean is, we look at the source of the problem. So we have a problem, right? Say I have a problem. There's something I don't like. There's something I want to change. There's some obstacle. And I continue to see the source of that problem as external to myself. And when I see the source of the problem as external to myself, that makes me feel helpless. Make sense? Now, how does that translate practically? Okay? Immediately, someone might say, but Yasmin, suppose someone's being abused. Suppose the problem is that there's an abuser. How can you say that the problem is internal? Right? What I would say to that is, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Indeed, the problem is with the abuser, right? But the victim can also empower themselves. The victim can also empower themselves. How? By number one saying, I will never accept this abuse. See, because I have to accept it in a sense, right? I have to continue to be passive and accept it for it to continue. Yes or no? So in a sense, I stop enabling it by not accepting. So number one, I say it's not okay. That's a change that I've made internally. Because sometimes we believe that, for example, in the case of abuse, sometimes we believe and we've internalized that to accept abuse is being patient. That's sabr, have sabr. Right? You have this concept, this idea of a woman going to the big sheikh, saying, Sheikh, I'm being abused. And sheikh says, have sabr, sister. Yeah, have sabr and leave. Okay? Because what does sabr mean? Well, the problem is we've defined sabr as do nothing. We've defined sabr wrongly. We've defined sabr as be passive, do nothing, turn the other cheek. Wrong religion, folks. Turn the other cheek means that you slapped me here, let me turn my cheek so I can give you more access to slap me here. That's not Islam. That's not Islam. Islam is an empowered religion. Islam does not teach us to be passive. Islam does not teach us to be weak. It doesn't. And for someone to come and tell you that to be patient means to allow abuse, then they are abusing and they are twisting Islam. That's not what the Prophet ﷺ taught. That's not what Allah asks from us. In fact, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us, and His Messenger have taught us, that if you see something wrong, you're actually supposed to do what? Anyone? Try to change it. Whoa! You mean you're not supposed to be passive? You mean you're not supposed to just shut your mouth and turn the other cheek and be patient? No, you're actually supposed to try to change it. You're supposed to take active steps to stop it. Yeah, that's what Islam teaches. And the Prophet ﷺ said, if you see something wrong, you're supposed to try to change it with your hand. And if you cannot, then with your tongue. So speaking out against it is part of that mujahada, that jihad. In fact, the Prophet ﷺ said that one of the greatest jihad is speaking truth to power. Speaking a word of truth to a tyrant is jihad. And whether that tyrant is your spouse or your family member or it's the king. But that's actually part of jihad. It's part of our struggle in faith. It's a worship. Don't ever let someone make you believe that Islam is supposed to make you weak or is supposed to make you passive. That's not what it means to be patient. Sabr itself is a very deep concept. And part of sabr is something called perseverance. Sabr doesn't mean just not taking action. be passive, don't do anything, just stay quiet. No. Sabr is also perseverance. And so a person requires sabr in order to take action against an oppressor. That requires sabr. That requires perseverance. So the Prophet ﷺ said, you try to change it with your hand, and if you cannot, then you try to change it with your tongue. And if you cannot, and pay very close attention to this last part, and if you cannot, then at least hate it in your heart. And this is the weakest of Iman. Whoa. So now the Prophet ﷺ is linking Iman, faith, to taking action against oppression. You see? So this idea that you're more religious and you're just a better, oh God, it makes me mad. This idea that you're going to be a better Muslim and more righteous if you just do nothing is absolutely against the Quran and Sunnah. It's not correct. That we as believers, Allah has given you a hand to take action, a tongue to speak out, and a heart to at least hate what is happening, even if you are powerless. Okay? But this is the thing, and this is what that ayah is teaching us, is that when you start to change inside, then Allah changes your condition. So this person that you don't have control over, but you have control over yourself. You have control over what you accept. You have control over what you do, and what you do not do, and what you accept and what you do not accept. That you have control over. And you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you do something within your own self and within your own circle of control. And that's when things start to change. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I have to change what's inside myself before change is going to happen. This is very, very important. When I talk about injustice overseas, I may be very active and I'm very outspoken, and I go to protests and I post, and I am very, very vocal about the injustice happening in Syria and Palestine. And yet, I continue to be unjust in my own home. I, myself, may continue to be a tyrant with my family. And I'm the same person speaking out about these tyrants overseas. So what's happened? The world isn't changing because I'm not changing. See, it's very true that we need, it's like the cliche says, be the change that you want to see in the world. But it's very true. And it's in line with the divine formula that Allah gives us. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيْرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيْرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. That I have to change myself. And I cannot expect that the world will change if I can't even change myself. Right? So we can't just speak out about tyrants overseas when I continue to be a tyrant in my home, in my masjid, and within my family. I have to change. And believe me, when you start to change yourself, your life changes. That's how life changes. That's how the world is going to change. There's a very, very profound hadith, which is literally prophecy, right? And the Prophet ﷺ, more than 1400 years ago, said that there will come a time when your enemies will call one another. They'll call